Welcome to Bible Stories LC. What if I told you that the ancient nation of Israel, once united under King David and Solomon, split apart, and 10 of its tribes vanished from history, scattered across the globe in ways that are still being revealed today? The 12 tribes of Israel form the bedrock of biblical history, yet the fate of the 10 lost tribes remains one of the greatest mysteries of the Bible. Where did they go? Are they still out there? And what role do they play in biblical prophecies regarding the end times? The Bible tells us that God chose these tribes for a special purpose, but due to rebellion and sin, they were scattered to the ends of the earth. Today, groups across the world from Ethiopia to India, Asia, and even the Americas claim descent from these lost tribes. Could the reappearance of these scattered descendants be the fulfillment of ancient prophecies? And what does this mean for the final chapter of human history? In this video, we will uncover the biblical origins of the 12 tribes of Israel, explore how 10 of them became lost, and dive into the claims of modern groups who say they are the descendants of these tribes. Most importantly, we will examine the prophetic significance of their return in the end times. Deep Bible stories will take you on a journey through time, showing how these ancient prophecies are still unfolding today. The origin of the 12 tribes of Israel can be traced back to Jacob, the grandson of Abraham, who had 12 sons. In a pivotal moment, Jacob wrestled with God and was renamed Israel, meaning one who struggles with God. His 12 sons became the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel, each inheriting a specific portion of the promised land. The sons of Jacob and the tribes they fathered were Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, and Joseph, whose 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, each received their own inheritance along with Benjamin. These tribes together formed the nation of Israel, with the tribes of Judah and Benjamin occupying the southern kingdom, while the other 10 tribes, often referred to as the northern kingdom, settled in the north, under the leadership of tribes like Ephraim and Manasseh. As prophesied by Jacob in Genesis 49, each tribe had its own unique destiny. However, it was their disobedience to God that led to their scattering and eventual disappearance from the historical record. Following the reign of King Solomon, the unified kingdom of Israel was torn in two. The southern kingdom, called Judah, was composed primarily of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. The northern kingdom, called Israel, consisted of the remaining 10 tribes, including Reuben, Simeon, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Ephraim, and Manasseh. The northern kingdom quickly fell into idolatry and rebellion against God. Despite warnings from prophets like Hosea and Amos, the people continued to reject God's covenant. In 722 BC, God's judgment came in the form of the Assyrian Empire, which invaded the northern kingdom, captured its people, and scattered them throughout the vast Assyrian lands. The king of Assyria deported Israel to Assyria and settled them in Halah, in Gozan, on the Habor River, and in the towns of the Medes, 2 Kings 17-6. These 10 tribes were dispersed across the Assyrian Empire, and over time, their identity as distinct tribes became blurred, earning them the title of the Lost Tribes of Israel. But are they truly lost? Or are they simply waiting to be revealed in the end times? The disappearance of the 10 lost tribes of Israel remains one of the most intriguing mysteries in biblical history. After the Assyrian conquest in 722 BC, these tribes were scattered across the empire, and their identity was gradually absorbed into the nations where they settled. However, many biblical scholars and researchers believe that remnants of these tribes still exist today, awaiting God's appointed time to be gathered once more. Their return is seen by many as a prophetic fulfillment that will play a significant role in the final events of history. The question remains, are we witnessing the beginning of this prophecy coming to pass? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: God's plan for his people has never been forgotten. Although the 10 lost tribes of Israel were absorbed into surrounding cultures, the Bible and Jewish traditions suggest that they were not entirely lost. Instead, they were dispersed among the nations, awaiting a prophetic return. Over the centuries, various groups across the globe have claimed descent from these tribes, holding on to ancient Jewish customs, traditions, and beliefs, despite their geographical isolation. Some of these groups have become prominent in the modern world, while others have remained obscure. However, all claim a direct connection to the lost tribes of Israel. Here's a closer look at some of the most notable groups that believe they are descendants of these lost tribes. 1. Beta Israel. Ethiopian Jews claiming descent from the tribe of Dan. One of the most well-known groups claiming descent from the lost tribes is the Beta Israel, or Ethiopian Jews who believe they are descendants of the tribe of Dan. Their presence in Ethiopia stretches back thousands of years, and they have maintained unique Jewish customs that set them apart from other African ethnic groups. The Beta Israel kept the Sabbath, practiced circumcision, followed kosher dietary laws, and observed various Jewish festivals, even during centuries of isolation from the broader Jewish world. The Ethiopian Jewish community has long maintained that they are part of the lost tribe of Dan, one of the 10 northern tribes exiled by the Assyrians. Their oral tradition tells of a migration from Israel to Ethiopia via Egypt, where they established themselves as part of a long-forgotten branch of the Israelite people. This claim was supported by their religious practices, which mirrored those of ancient Israel, and their unbroken tradition of Judaism. In the modern era, their claim was validated in the eyes of the Jewish world when Israel's rabbinate officially recognized the Beta Israel as part of the Jewish people in the late 20th century. Through operations such as Operation Moses 1984 and Operation Solomon 1991, tens of thousands of Ethiopian Jews were airlifted to Israel, fulfilling what many see as a modern echo of biblical prophecies regarding the regathering of Israel's exiles. Their connection to the tribe of Dan remains a fascinating part of the wider narrative of the lost tribes, and their return to Israel is seen by many as part of the ongoing fulfillment of biblical prophecy. 2. Bene Israel. Indian Jews claiming descent from the tribe of Ephraim. The Bene Israel, located primarily in the western regions of India, trace their roots back to the lost tribe of Ephraim. According to their oral tradition, their ancestors were shipwrecked on the Indian coast centuries ago, possibly during the Assyrian exile, and established a small Jewish community in India. They remained isolated from the broader Jewish world for much of their history. Yet they kept certain Jewish customs, such as observing the Sabbath, circumcision, and dietary laws. What is remarkable about the Bene Israel is that they survived for centuries with limited contact with other Jewish communities, but still managed to retain a strong sense of Jewish identity. Their traditions have similarities to mainstream Judaism, and their claim of descent from the lost tribe of Ephraim is taken seriously by many in the Jewish world. In recent decades, some members of the Bene Israel have immigrated to Israel, contributing to the diversity of Israel's Jewish population and representing yet another potential fulfillment of the prophecy of the return of the lost tribes. 3. Pashtun tribes, Afghanistan and Pakistan claiming descent from the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh. The Pashtun people of Afghanistan and Pakistan, also known as Pathans, claim to be descendants of the lost tribes of Israel, particularly from the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh. Their oral traditions, tribal customs, and certain religious practices have led many to believe that they have Israelite ancestry. The Pashtuns, despite being predominantly Muslim today, have maintained cultural traditions that bear striking similarities to ancient Israelite customs. These include avoiding pork, observing ritual purity laws, and following a tribal code resembling biblical laws. Their historical connection to Israel is further supported by linguistic, genetic, and cultural studies, which suggest a link between the Pashtuns and the ancient Israelites. Some researchers believe that after the Assyrian exile, the lost tribes of Israel migrated eastward, eventually settling in regions that are now Afghanistan and Pakistan. In recent years, interest in the Pashtun-Israelite connection has grown, with some members of the Pashtun community expressing a desire to reconnect with their Jewish Pam's heritage. If their claims are accurate, the Pashtun tribes could represent one of the largest remnants of the lost tribes of Israel, waiting to be recognized and restored in the end times. A prophetic fulfillment in motion? These groups, Beta Israel, Bene Israel, and the Pashtun tribes are just a few examples of the many people worldwide who claim descent from the lost tribes of Israel. While some of these claims are widely accepted, others remain the subject of debate and research. However, their existence and their return to Israel in various forms align with the biblical prophecies that speak of God regathering his scattered people in the last days. As these communities continue to be rediscovered, Could we be witnessing the beginning of the fulfillment of one of the Bible's greatest prophecies? One thing remains certain: the lost tribes of Israel may not be lost forever. Their story is still unfolding, and their return could hold immense prophetic significance in the times to come. The Pashtun tribes of Afghanistan and Pakistan claim to be descendants of the lost tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, the sons of Joseph. This claim is supported by their ancient traditions, many of which bear striking resemblances to Israelite customs. For example, many Pashtun tribes practice circumcision on the 8th day, avoid eating pork, and follow other cultural practices reminiscent of ancient Israelite law. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence supporting their claim is their oral tradition, which consistently refers to their Israelite heritage. For centuries, the Pashtun have referred to themselves as Bene Israel, children of Israel, passing down stories that link their ancestry to the northern kingdom of Israel. Some Pashtun tribes even carry names that are similar to those of the Israelite tribes, such as Rabbani and Levani. Scholars and historians are divided on the validity of these claims, but there is no denying the persistence of these traditions. With the Pashtun numbering in the tens of millions, the possibility that they could be descendants of the lost tribes adds a fascinating dimension to the broader narrative of the regathering of Israel in the end times. 4. Igbo Jews, Nigeria, claiming descent from the tribes of Gad and Zebulun. The Igbo people of Nigeria have long maintained that they are descendants of the lost tribes of Israel, particularly the tribes of Gad and Zebulun. The Igbo people have a strong cultural tradition that includes practices similar to those found in Judaism, such as circumcision on the 8th day, dietary restrictions, and the observance of certain religious festivals. Many Igbo believe their ancestors were among the lost tribes scattered during the Assyrian conquest. While their claims have not been widely recognized by the Jewish community at large, there is growing interest in the Igbo's connection to ancient Israel. Many members of the Igbo community have formally converted to mainstream Judaism in recent years, and some have immigrated to Israel, seeking to reconnect with their long-lost heritage. Their connection to the tribes of Gad and Zebulun is part of a larger movement across Africa to uncover the lost remnants of the 10 tribes, raising the possibility that many more such groups could emerge in the future. 5. Lemba, Zimbabwe and South Africa, claiming descent from the tribe of Levi. The Lemba people, living primarily in Zimbabwe and South Africa, have long claimed to be descendants of ancient Israelites, specifically the tribe of Levi. The Lemba's oral tradition maintains that their ancestors migrated from the Middle East to Africa centuries ago. Their customs, including circumcision, kosher-like dietary restrictions, and Sabbath observance, have intrigued scholars for years. Recent DNA testing has lent credibility to their claims. A significant percentage of the Lemba population has been found to carry the Cohen-Modal haplotype, a genetic marker associated with the priestly line of Aaron. This discovery further strengthens the argument that they are descendants of the tribe of Levi. The Lemba story is particularly fascinating because it suggests that the priestly line of Levi, though scattered, has maintained a presence in some of the most unexpected corners of the world. Their return, both spiritually and physically, may be part of the prophetic regathering of Israel. The biblical prophecies, the regathering of the lost tribes. The Bible makes it clear that the lost tribes are not forgotten by God. In fact, their return is central to the end-time prophecies of the Bible. Ezekiel 37 provides one of the most vivid descriptions of their eventual regathering in the Valley of Dry Bones prophecy, where God promises to restore Israel. In this prophecy, God tells Ezekiel to speak to a valley filled with dry bones, representing the scattered people of Israel. As Ezekiel prophesies, the bones come together, receive flesh and breath, and stand as a great army. This vision symbolizes the rebirth of Israel, not just of the tribes already known, but of all 12 tribes, including the lost ones. Additionally, Isaiah 11:12 declares, "He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the 4 corners of the earth." This prophecy emphasizes that God's plan includes all of Israel, not just those who remained identifiable. The return of the lost tribes is an essential part of biblical prophecy, signaling the approach of the Messianic age. The lost tribes, a mystery still unfolding. The existence of groups like the Pashtun, Igbo, and Lemba, along with the Beta Israel and Bene Israel, raises an important question. Are we witnessing the fulfillment of prophecy? With modern technology, DNA testing, and historical research, long-lost connections are being rediscovered, and groups once separated by geography and time are reconnecting with their ancient heritage. As these hidden remnants continue to emerge, the regathering of the lost tribes may be far from a mere legend. It could be a divinely orchestrated event that plays a key role in the final chapter of biblical prophecy. Whether fully revealed now or still awaiting their prophetic moment, one thing is certain: God's promise to restore his people has never been forgotten. The lost tribes may not be lost forever, and their return could mark the beginning of a long-awaited biblical fulfillment. God promises to breathe life back into the scattered tribes and reunite them with Judah. I will make them one nation in the land, on the mountains of Israel. There will be one king over all of them, and they will never again be two nations or be divided into two kingdoms. Ezekiel 37-22. This prophecy foretells a future time when the lost tribes of Israel will be restored and reunited with the southern kingdom of Judah, forming a single unified Israel under the Messiah. This event is seen as a key moment in the unfolding of God's plan for the end times. In Isaiah 11:12, the prophet speaks of the second regathering of Israel, indicating that God will once more reach out to reclaim his people from across the world. He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four corners of the earth. This verse is not just about the return from Babylonian exile. It points to a much larger event, a global regathering that includes the lost tribes of the northern kingdom. Many believe that this prophecy is being fulfilled in part through the return of groups like the Beta Israel and Bene Israel, and that the ultimate fulfillment will come when all 12 tribes return to their ancient homeland. In Revelation 7, we also see the 12 tribes of Israel represented once more, as 144,000 individuals, 12,000 from each tribe, sealed for protection during the Great Tribulation. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. Revelation 7-4. This passage reaffirms that even the lost tribes have a part to play in God's final plan for humanity. The return of the lost tribes is not just a historical curiosity, is a crucial part of biblical prophecy that will culminate in the Messianic age. According to the Bible, the lost tribes will be restored, reunited with Judah, and will play a significant role in the end times, particularly in the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. This regathering will be a supernatural act of God, a sign that the final days are near. As groups claiming descent from the lost tribes continue to emerge, the world watches for the fulfillment of these ancient prophecies. Their reappearance is a reminder that God's promises never fail and that the return of the Messiah is drawing closer. The story of the 10 lost tribes of Israel is not over. While their fate seemed uncertain for centuries, the Bible assures us that God has not forgotten his people. Through groups like the Beta Israel of Ethiopia and the Pashtun of Afghanistan, we see the beginnings of their return. Prophecies in Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Revelation tell us that these tribes will play a key role in the end times, when they will be gathered from the far corners of the earth and reunited with the tribes of Judah under the rule of the Messiah. As we move closer to the fulfillment of these prophecies, the reappearance of the lost tribes is a clear sign that God's ultimate plan for Israel and, indeed, the world is unfolding before our eyes. If this deep dive into the 12 tribes of Israel and their prophetic role in the end times intrigued you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video from Deep Bible Stories, where we explore how ancient prophecies are shaping our modern world. The story of the lost tribes of Israel teaches us an important lesson about faith, patience, and God's divine plan. Even when things seem scattered or uncertain, God never forgets his people. In our own lives, we may go through seasons of difficulty, separation, or waiting, but we must trust that God is always working behind the scenes to restore and fulfill his promises. Just as he is bringing his people back together, he is also guiding us toward our purpose. Stay faithful, seek God's direction, and remember that his timing is always perfect, even when we don't see the full picture yet.